Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 2002 family comedy film Snow Dogs. Now, Snow Dogs is a film by Disney that when this came out, it actually made a fair amount of money because it's a Disney film, and a lot of Disney movies, even some of their crappiest live action output, made a profit. And this was also around a time when Cuba Gooding Jr. still had some star power, so that definitely probably helped. But this is a film that even as a kid I didn't like. Like whenever this was shown on the Disney Channel or on TV, I never finished it. I always flipped the channel. Maybe I gave it a shot for like the first 10 minutes and then I was like, no, I can't deal with this. This sucks. And after finally sitting through the entire thing after all these years, yeah, I wasn't wrong. This movie is bad. This is a pile of dog crap. It really is. Now, I've seen worse, and it's the kind of bad movie that's like inoffensively bad, so it's not a rant. But yeah, this sucks. I was not a fan of this at all. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on Snow Dogs, though, I would like to give a special shout out to Ryan for requesting another review. And if there is another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to either my PayPal, my Patreon, or my Cash App. The links to all three are in the video description down below. And I'll try to get to your requests as soon as I possibly can. Now, Snow Dogs is directed by Brian Levant, and he's known for lively films, but this is honestly one of the more tired ones that he did. Like he directed Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas before this, and it really seems like he's stuck in the same mire and gear that he was stuck in with that movie, because the direction in this, it's not that dynamic. There's really not that much in terms of camera angles or perspectives or camera techniques. It's very stiff and frozen in that regard. There might be an occasional shot or two that's like set up in a way where you get like a wide shot or an establishing shot or maybe a close up here and there, but for the most part a lot of the direction in this is very limited, and it definitely shows when it comes to its attempts at trying to showcase physical comedy, and also when it comes to the racing sequences. The most creative direction that this has is during a dream sequence, because other than that scene, the direction is very one note, very much just the same throughout, with very little variety, very little genuine flair to it as well. Like it's just a movie that looks like it's directed by a guy who did it for a paycheck and then didn't really put anything more than just the bare minimum into the movie directing wise. And when you look at Brian Levant's career after this film, which was, I think this was the last film that he did that made any money, you can definitely see a downward trajectory. And you could see him really not put as much effort into his direction. I mean, he's a long way from the Flintstones and Beethoven at this particular point in his career. Now, it's written by Jim Koof, Tommy Swerdlow, Michael Goldberg, Mark Gibson, and Philip Halprin, based on a book called Winter Dance by Gary Paulson. Now, that book name sounds familiar to me. And the reason for that is because I actually did read that book in elementary school. I think it was something that we read for a fiction class, because that rung a bell. And when I watched the movie, I was like, you know what? This plot honestly sounds a bit familiar. And yeah, it is familiar because it's Winter Dance, but a really shitty version of it. Honestly, they should remake this. Seriously, Winter Dance is actually a pretty good book. And I think it could make for a good movie. Something that isn't a vehicle for some really painful slapstick, which is what Snow Dogs is. And I can't believe there's this many writers. Like, really? You have one, two, three, four, five writers who wrote this? Like, I mean, this did not need five writers. This looks like the effort of one writer who was hopped up on caffeine and churned out this script in a day or two. This does not look like the effort of five writers at all. So the plot deals with this guy named Ted. He's a celebrity dentist. I guess that's a thing in Florida. And he is working for this dental practice called Hot Smile. And one day out of nowhere, Ted receives a letter from Alaska naming him as the only heir of this woman named Lucy. And you find out through the course of the film that Lucy is Ted's mother and that he was adopted. Once he finds out about this, he decides to fly to Talkeetna in Alaska to claim his inheritance from his mother. And his inheritance is 7 Siberian Huskies and whatever else that she had in her home. Now, while he's trying to sort everything out with his inheritance, Ted winds up meeting this woman named Barb, who runs and is the owner of this local bar, and the two actually become a love interest throughout the film. And I would say, when it comes to the plot, that is one of the few things about it that I felt actually worked. Was the love story between those two? I actually felt it was genuinely sweet and charming. But the whole stuff with Ted and the dogs doesn't really work that well, especially when out of nowhere, randomly, the dogs will like wink and smirk with some really creepy looking CGI. And the whole stuff with his father, Thunder Jack, who is this grumpy, grizzled old man who, oh, there's no way that he's related to Cuba Gooding Jr. Imagine the hijinks that will ensue when the two team up, and it's not really that funny though. Like, honestly, Thunder Jack comes across like more of a jerk throughout most of the movie than anything else. And really, the only way that he actually reveals what happened between him and Ted's mom is if Ted agrees to sell the dogs to him in one scene. And there's this whole thing with this Arctic Challenge sled dog race, which Ted's mom had participated in the past, but never won. The best that she placed was in third place. And one other thing I will give the script credit for is that it seems like it's setting things up for a very cliched plot where Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character Ted learns how to work with these sled dogs and learns how to race, and then enters the Arctic Challenge, and then somehow wins it in the end for his mom. You don't actually see that. So I will give the script credit and the story credit for not going there, but because it doesn't go into that direction, it doesn't really feel like Ted really has any genuine strong connection with these dogs. It doesn't even seem like he even needs to even deal with them at all. Uh, and it just makes the snow dogs kind of feel like an afterthought in a movie that is heavily marketed around these dogs. Now, to be fair, Ted does utilize the dogs later on to go in the middle of a blizzard and go and find Thunder Jack, who is uh, holed away in a cave and trapped. Uh, so there is that. And there is a lot of like hijinks and slapstick and physical comedy and pratfalls with Ted trying to get the dogs to mush and other stuff involving him working with the dogs. But that only goes so far. It also leads to a very bizarre dream sequence where the dogs talk while they're hanging out at the beach, and you see what the hell is his name? It's not Kenny G. Might as well be Kenny G. But no, it's the Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton has a weird cameo in this dream sequence, and it's a fever dream. It's a dream that Ted has when he's left on a mountain and he's frozen over. So it's a freezer dream. It's not a fever dream, it's a freezer dream. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. There's this whole drama with the lead dog, a demon who hates Ted and doesn't want to work with him, and then doesn't really want to work with Thunderjack later either. And then, of course, the reason why he's all pissed is because he's got a tooth problem. So Ted takes care of the tooth, and now the dog is all nice and lovey-dovey and ready to lead the pack. There's this other dog that's not a husky, who I think it's like a collie or something like that. I could be wrong. Could be an Australian Shepherd. I don't know dog breeds, but it's a house dog who wants to be with the pack, and then oh, they're a dog short, so this dog comes in and performs admirably, even though it doesn't have the same genetics, doesn't have the same abilities. I guess, you know, another thing to throw in there for the underdog story. And there's a bunch of other supporting characters that are involved in this, like Ted's mother, who shows up and actually comes to Alaska in the finale. You got this guy named George, who is an older friend of Ted's mother. You've got Peter, who's another friend of hers who lives there in Alaska, and Ernie. You have uh, Ted's adopted cousin Rupert, who who is really irritating and annoying in every scene that he's in, and it's not just because he's being played by Sisqó. It's due to how he's written as a character, and somehow he gets rewarded with the dentist business at the end of the film. Why? Why did this guy get the dentist business? Seems like you're just setting the business up to fail if you're gonna have him and take over. And there's also this jerk off guy who is like the head of this sled team, and he's like the best sledder. And he's won the Arctic Challenge numerous times, and of course he's from, you know, some foreign country or whatever, and he barely speaks any English, and he's got a ponytail, and you think this guy's gonna be a bigger deal, but he's not. And Well, I do kind of give the script credit for kind of going in a different direction with those kind of characters and with those arcs of those characters. It makes those characters kind of feel like they're not even necessary. It makes it feel like, okay, they're here, but there's not really much that's being done with them. So at the end of the day, it kind of feels like they're wasted. And there's a lot of that with this script where, okay, there are things happening, but it doesn't really feel like there's much of a genuine heart behind it all, or passion, or any sense of care. Like you don't care about the Arctic Challenge. You don't care about Ted finding his heritage or finding his father and bonding with him, because his father is portrayed as a jerk for most of the movie until randomly he has a change of heart, and it doesn't really feel like it's that earned. You don't mind the Ted falling in love with Barb, and I like the scene with them when they're hanging out in the wilderness at night and they're howling with the dogs. And I like the moments when those two bond, but there's also not a lot of moments like that. There's a fair amount of moments like that, but I feel there should have been more because the dynamic between those characters is the strongest and a lot stronger than anything that's going on with Thunder Jack and Ted. It seemed like the plot was really just a placeholder for really bad slapstick and really unfunny comedy. That's really what I think it is. It's just a placeholder for really unfunny comedy and slapstick. And that's a shame. It really is, because there is a potentially compelling story and narrative here, but it's just completely iced over by all of this bad writing and painful attempts at trying to be funny. And if you've read the book, it's really, that's not what Winter Dance is. So yeah, the script is easily, in my opinion, one of the worst things about this movie, and definitely one of the biggest reasons why it's so bad. But it's not the only reason. This cast doesn't help either, especially Cuba Gooding Jr. I did not like his character, and I did not like his performance in this. I found him to be really annoying, because he's just playing things up way too much when it comes to the slapstick and the comedy, and it came across as overacting and overdoing it, and it wasn't funny at all to me. It was more cringe inducing than anything else to watch Cuba Gooding Jr. do the whoa, and all that nonsense. And just way overdue things with his acting and with his reactions to things and with the faces he was making. It was just incredibly hard to watch and to sit through. And I really hated watching him in this. And I don't mind Cuba Gooding Jr. in small doses. Like, he's good in Jerry Maguire. He's really a lot of fun in Rat Race. Here, though, he was insufferable. Like, I could not stand his performance in this. James Coburn, he just plays the same grumpy old man character he's played in almost anything that he's ever done. So I mean, it's okay, but in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like, hey, we couldn't get Sam Elliott, so hey, why don't we have James Coburn do his best Sam Elliott impression? Because it really did kind of have that vibe to it. Nichelle Nichols, Uhura from Star Trek, nice to see her in something else, but it's a wasted role. She barely is in it at all. Um, Joanna Bacalso, or I think it's a Bacalso. Joanna Bacalso is Barb. I thought she was great. I really liked her performance in this. It was a shame she wasn't in it more, because she was easily, in my opinion, the best performer out of this entire cast, other than maybe James Coburn, who had some moments, and Brian Doyle Murray. Emmett Walsh, he's a good character actor, but this is a role that just took for the paycheck and just kind of phoned it in. Same thing goes for Graham Greene as Peter Yellowbear. Sisqó sucked, but it's Sisqó. He can't act, and he's not even really that good at singing either. He's not really that good of a musician or an artist in that regard. I mean, this is the guy who sang the thong song. Uh, Brian Doyle Murray, like I said, I didn't mind his performance in this. And Michael Bolton, who plays himself, like just as stiff as he always is. Jim Belushi voiced Demon in the dream sequence, which, okay. I mean, I wonder how much they paid him to do that, considering the fact that he was probably one of the biggest stars that they got for this. Um, and that's really about it in terms of the cast. Like, there's a few other people here and there, but like the main cast is Cuba Gooding Jr., Joanna Bacalso, James Coburn, Sisqó, uh, Emmett Walsh, Graham Greene, Brian Doyle Murray. So, and the dogs themselves, they weren't too bad. When it comes to the scenes that they were in, they were utilized a lot better though in a much better Disney movie involving huskies called Eight Below with Paul Walker. Like that one I actually think is honestly a little underrated. This one though, no, this is properly rated as one of the weaker and one of the worst live action Disney films. Uh there's a reason why this isn't on Blu-ray, and I think the DVD is only full screen. Because yeah, this is not good. This is pretty bad. The cinematography by Thomas E. Ackerman, it was just average. The editing by Roger Bondelli was just more of the same, just so. The music by John Debney was very forgettable, like the majority of this movie. John Debney has done way better work in his career. This has definitely got to be one of his weakest and one of his worst scores because it just sounded generic. That's really what it did. It just sounded very generic, very played out. Nothing about this score stood out in any way uh, other than a negative fashion because I know Debney can do a lot better. And this is just Debney just taking a paycheck and honestly just delivering the bare minimum. That's really what this score is. And the songs that they use for the soundtrack that they license for it weren't that much at all either. They weren't good in my opinion. Surprised they didn't use "Who Let the Dogs Out." Um, I think they might have used that song, but I'm not entirely sure. If they did, I blocked it out of my brain. Um, and I mean, this is a film that is the kind of bad movie that even has a bad tagline. The tagline for this is "Get ready for mush hour." Ugh, God, that is such a bad tagline. Like, get it? You know, because mush rhymes with rush. Ha 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 ha. And it's honestly fitting though, because that's really the comedy that you get in Snow Dogs. That's the level of comedy that you get in this movie. But yeah, I mean, why was this such a big hit? I don't understand that at all. 115 million dollars. Like, God, man, there's so many movies that either Disney made or other companies have made that didn't even make half this much profit. And then absolute crap like this makes $115 million on a $33 million budget. I wish The Rocketeer made over $100 million in the box office, because then we would have had a Rocketeer franchise. That would have been nice. No, Snow Dogs, that gets over $100 million in the box office. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on Snow Dogs. In my opinion, a pretty bad, a pretty poor Disney movie that I would definitely say is one of the worst live action Disney films that they released in the theater. And I really don't have anything else to say except thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.